So I just wanted to say a few things, quick discussion on the current state of political affairs, because this situation has happened before. It is happening yet again. It's a perfect storm and it's artificial. There is nothing new to it. Yes, we have early stages of election campaigning in the United States, but the Democrats, or better to say, on the Democratic side, we see similar events taking place that took place on the Republican side prior to the 2016 election. And Elizabeth Warren seems to be the Trump on the left. Somebody who is clearly disliked by the establishment within the party, as Trump was during his campaigning. The all the media that is part of the Republican establishment attacked Trump all the time, but the candidate that they were pushing was not going anywhere because Trump was only gaining from all the criticism he was getting. So the button they tried to press had worked before, but it didn't work this time. And actually, it counter-worked. They were giving Trump more supporters the more they criticized him. I think, or it looks to me, the same thing happens now to Elizabeth Warren. She is clearly not an establishment candidate. She speaks her mind, as she always did, even when she was part of the Obama administration. And I liked it back then, as lots of people before 2016 election liked the Trump because he seemed to speak his mind all the time, and it wasn't going along with the establishment pushed agenda on the Republican side. Biden, on the other hand, is doing what Clinton did, like Clinton, Hillary, and Biden, Joe. They don't really have a position. Like, people, I think, turn away from them, or even the people who are part of the typical establishment voting bloc, they're turned off and they don't go to vote because these candidates don't have a position when they talk. They are very neutral. In fact, their position is probably whatever their backer's position is at a given time. And that's why there is excitement for the Democrats right now about the Elizabeth Warren, because she is, well, healthier of the two more radical and independent speaking candidates on the Democratic side, and she is generating that attraction that independent sounding candidate usually does. I think more people will go out and vote come the election date, and the polls again are misleading, probably most likely for the Democratic pool. And at the end of the day, she will probably be the candidate. And I think establishment is already kind of knows that. They learning to live with this reality, but they're still pushing as far as we can see on all the television channels and all the media on the internet and anywhere, whoever is their starch establishment media outlet backer, they push Biden, and this whole other issue with the Trump versus Biden argument, where Trump is blamed for something. Basically, he exposed Biden to the public, national public, nationwide. Like, if you followed alternative media back in 2014 and 15, when the entire Ukrainian issue was happening and there was basically a coup in the Ukraine against the government. I mean, here people said that's a Putin-backed government. Not really. wasn't really Putin-backed government. Ukrainian government was never backed. They were like playing the Switzerland between the West and Russia. And all the candidates, they spent part of their term kind of playing a good poodle to the European Union and the United States, and then when they were not getting any more from them, they would turn around and play good poodle to Putin and or even Yeltsin Russia before that, and they were getting something for that. And it worked for them for decades. But this time, the government was pushed out by the a new Orange Revolution. And the alternative media were reporting that a lot of the benefits went to Biden family while he was the vice president for Barack Obama. And that kind of went unnoticed because it wasn't national news, and majority of straightforward kind of people in the United States, they don't follow alternative media, and they didn't know some of the details. But it's not news, basically, that Biden is corrupt. But Trump exposed him, and now in the game plan and the rules of the ancient Athenian democracy and demagoguery, the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, are deafening public to death by the screams that Trump is corrupt, just to sound louder than the Trump voice that the Biden is corrupt. But the people are seeing through it anyway, and Biden was not generating any attention anyway. And so excitement on the Democratic side is shifting more and more to Elizabeth Warren, and I think majority of people will vote for her, and she will be the Democratic nominee for the next year's election. Now, this whole new development, because Trump is always doing deals on the borderline of legality. That's his MO when he was not involved into politics, and I think everybody knew that. And Trump was, back in the 80s and 90s, he was the symbol of American business for a lot of people for that same reason, because he is on the edge of legality or not legality, but he's successful. He makes big deals and makes a good business. And if you get away with it, why not? That's the American way, Now in the politics, for people it didn't change, but the political game has different rules, and so there is a bashing that he is doing this and he is doing that, and of course he is guilty, and of course the president shouldn't be doing. But since when American presidents don't do certain things like that around the world? I mean, just a side note, that whole issue that Democrats were screaming about for 2 years with Russia involved in elections, maybe they paid some companies to kind of push the vote. But so what? America's been involved in other countries' elections for decades, and not so sadly. Anyway, they were sometimes, like, physically the colored revolutions. I mean, good example of that. I mean, who else was behind it but the CIA? Anyway, and again, it is quite well known by people who follow the details. They're not allowed a national media voice because that's not in the interest of the current political gamesmanship that's going on. But bottom line is, they've been doing it. That's nothing new. And it's a reality of political world for the past 50, 60 years, since the Second World War. Soviet Union used to do the same things. They got involved in other people's business, other countries' business, and they were changing the political reality sometimes. Same did the United States. So that they getting involved in other people. Of course, you cannot get involved in American elections. Well, Soviet Union didn't have elections really, so that was out of the question. Sealed and buried, protected. But in the United States, you cannot touch our elections. We can touch on the other people's elections. But anyway, so there is no discussion about fairness. Like fairness been thrown out of the window a long time ago by everybody. It's just demagoguery that's going on. Demagoguery about left, demagoguery about right. And now on top of it, we have a new development. This whole conflict in Syria again. Of course, again, it's a page from the old book. Yes, Trump is slightly crossed the line, as many other American presidents did. Some got away with it because they didn't have a strong political offensive going on against them at the time, but others didn't get away with it. So Trump is being pressured. Is he going to be removed out of the office for this? No. But is he going to be damaged? Yes. So what does he want to do? He wants to stop this nonsense about the impeachment in the Congress. And what better way to do it but to start a war? And, well, the perfect move is to let Erdogan, who's the president of Turkey, who's been dying to take a piece of Syria with rich oil fields for himself. And America is now retreating. Turkey is going to move in under disguise of fighting their rebel Kurdish separatists. But at the end of the day, it's gonna create another stir in the region, and ISIS is going to come back and cause all kinds of havoc. And it's President Trump will step in and say, you know, there is like a danger to American independence and a way of life is under threat and all of that. And Iran is getting involved, and we need to save the oil supply of the world and the peace in the Middle East. And of course, Israel will be thrown into the mix. And what impeachment? We're in war. You know, what impeachment when we are at war? And I think that's going to play that way day by day until it actually gets there, and the Congress will have to shut it because, you know, we're at war. What impeachment? Who's going to lead the army? Pelosi, right? Like that basically that will be the argument. So, yeah, this is the new tangle of political gamesmanship that is probably will be playing out this way until the end of the year, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and nothing really will change. Okay, at the end of the day, President Trump will be in the next year's election from the Republican side as a stand-in president, and most likely Elizabeth Warren will be nominee on the Democratic side. Nobody will vote for Joe Biden. He should just forget about it. And that's it.